Why are so many African Americans today only describing themselves as indigenous to America? I understand that there is a portion of my family, a small portion of my family, that is indigenous to America. But the majority of my bloodline comes from West Africa. And I am not ashamed of that. But I believe that many of these people who are claiming indigenous are doing so because they are ashamed that for them, they can only see that their history, the history of the African, began in slavery, as if the African civilization did not exist prior to 1450s. Because really, if you want to know when the transatlantic slave trade started, go back and watch a different video of mine that I did a couple of weeks ago, where the transatlantic slave trade actually started before Christopher Columbus came to the Americas. But this is what they believe. This is what they have been conditioned to believe in America, that their history, their ancestral history, began in slavery, not realizing that the indigenous people of all over the world came out of Africa. But they will refuse to accept this one and believe that the natives in the Americas has always been here. Has always been here. This is their statement. Has always been here. They cannot give you any timestamps. They can't give you any artifacts or things of that nature. There's a few who can give you certain things. But the oldest demonstration of any humans being in the Americas is roughly about 25,000 years ago, to which we have found. There may be something else that's coming. They haven't finished yet, but they may give them as far back as 56,000 years ago. But as far as the theory of out of Africa, one thing we can demonstrate is that the indigenous people all over the world were heavily melanated people. In India, Australia, the South Pacific, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. But what we have to recognize is that the Homo sapien has been on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. And in those hundreds of thousands of years, people have migrated from landmass to landmass based on their ability to live and based on their curiosity. You see, the South Pacific Islanders, they journeyed to the Americas and many other islands in the Pacific Ocean out of curiosity and resources. And there is proof that South Pacific Islanders arrived in South America, in Peru, in Chile, long before any European did. There is proof that Africans sailed and traded gold and gold spear tips with the people in Mexico, with the Caribbean islanders, long before the Europeans came. There is adequate evidence of such things. There is evidence of the land bridge that went across from Asia into the Americas. And that the second incursion of that, when they went looking for the Zai people out of China, they were looking for their ancestors who had previously crossed the land bridge to come into the Americas. DNA study has shown that the people of Asia, the people of China, originated in East Africa, therefore proving a genetic linkage to the out of Africa theory. We know that Adam's calendar, found in South Africa, is 200,000 years old. It is a human civilization crawl that is situated near ancient gold mines. We know that 200,000 years ago, there were people in Africa, but no other land has shown and demonstrated that they have had people longer than any of the relics civilizations in Africa. And just as a reminder, the richest man who have ever lived was Mansa Musa, a black man of the Mali Empire in Africa. His empire was so great and so vast, and his influence was so great and so vast, that when he made his Hajj to Mecca, he bankrupted almost every country that he entered because of his outpouring of money and wealth and the largeness of his entourage. His son is reported to have taken hundreds of ships and sailed to the Americas. Because he never returned, they presumed him dead. But we know that it is more likely that he hit the Americas and decided to stay and not return. Only one ship came back. That one ship came back because it was afraid to enter the African Atlantic current that takes you to the Americas. He claimed that there was a river under the ocean that pulled so strong that once in it, you had no choice but to go to the Americas. And that one ship was afraid to do so. Other expeditions went later, and they also remained in America. So for those of you who have trouble accepting your African heritage because you feel that it was a weakness that Africa was colonized, that Africa became the center of slavery, of exporting slaves, I will begin to help you heal from that by doing videos that will demonstrate the beautiful history all over the African continent of empires, of technology, of knowledge, of life that we have. That our ancestry is far, far older than the transatlantic slave trade. But always realize, just as America will one day fall, all kingdoms rise and all kingdoms fall. And there is absolutely no embarrassment of that. That is just the nature of life and of civilizations. So, but in order for you to do that, as always, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.